Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. Bringing us stories trending around the world is Ayo Mairo Ese. Ayo.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Good morning, and it's time for what's trending here. But before we begin, what is trending here at Arise is that Doctor, I was waiting here. You know a man or the type of quality of a man by the kind of gifts that he gives. Obviously, Doctor is the intellectual, literary giant. And so he went away and got us lovely books. Before I show yours as well, so we can see it. So, and then, the beautiful thing about it is that it was also very thoughtful. They were intentional, according to each of our inclinations, leanings, likes, and he was listening to, because Rufai is known to always quote this man, this man, Rufai.
Yeah, that's very fast.
Yes. Thank you very much, Doctor. Wanted to make it very official and on the record. Thank you very much.
Yes.
And so we can begin what's trending today on this beautiful and rainy Friday morning in Lagos State. Well, the Minister of Aviation, Festus Keyamo, has given the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria, FAN, October 1, 2023, to relocate all flight operations to the new international terminal at the Murtala Muhammed International Airport, Lagos, and vacate the old terminal for rehabilitation. This announcement came during a comprehensive tour of Lagos's international airports, which he conducted in the company of Mr. Kabir Yusuf Mohammed, the Managing Director of the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria. Keyamo also put on hold all arrangements under his predecessor, Hadi Sirika, to enable proper audit of contracts in the aviation industry, stating that he owes it to the federal government and Nigerians to give an honest assessment. Keyamo, who recently assumed the position, clarified the suspension will remain in effect until he has the opportunity to brief President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on the matter. Now, we've spoken about this, we've touched on this earlier on during the newspaper review, during Business with Reuters. And just to say, Nigerian Air or Nigeria Air now suspended. Rufai?
Yeah. Yes, we've talked about that. Nigeria Air now suspended. When we first talked about it, there is also a need for continuum in government, but we can't forget the fact that Nigeria Air debacle was shrouded in a lot of conundrum, if I can say that. Till date, we don't even know what's been going on. We all saw how the airline operators, the local airline operators, complained of how they use the agencies to hurriedly pass, the Nigeria Air thing. We all remember that infamous flight to Nigeria. We all remember when Hadi Sirika said Nigeria Air will fly before a certain date, but didn't know maybe it was going to be operational or not. And we all remember all that happened around that period. So if you say it's suspended and he wants to look at it, yes, but it's also a blight on us and how we do business. Because foreign investors will now look and say, are these people really serious at all? So that's also that part of it. Owing to the fact that there's also been interviews by the Ethiopians, and they were talking about the fact that, yes, we are actually in talks with the Nigerian authorities and we're going on with this. So people will look at us, are we really ready? Because you see, I think the problem is back to our cardinal greed as a nation. These things are not supposed to be a big deal. And I'll give you a very personal experience. The other day I was in Togo. I had to transit through Togo. And I saw how these same Ethiopians, had this partnership and agreement with, I think, ECOWAS Bank and EcoBank for an airline called Askai. And that has done very well from Togo, and it's turned Togo into an aviation hub. So the question is, why can't we have it? But also the argument about Nigeria is, why can't we have it with local airlines? Air Peace has more than enough capacity to be able to do it. Air Peace just had a deal with the government of Antigua. So if we have Nigerian Airlines doing well, Air Peace having a very large fleet, why can't you just use Air Peace and a couple of other Nigerian airlines to be able to have this partnership and agreement and get the BASA agreement for Nigeria rather than getting it for Ethiopia? This has always been the argument, to keep it within. So I'm happy he's going to look at it. Let's see how it pans out. And I just hope they get the logistics right as regards the airport, because now they'll be ferrying people. They'll be taking people from one terminal to the other former terminal while they fix the former terminal. But let's just learn to do things properly once and for all in this country.
Yeah, I'm quite curious about the amount of money that's been spent on this project. We all remember the launch of the logo at the Farnborough Air Show, and then the launch or the lack of launch that happened a few days to the last administration coming to an end. Doctor, what's going to happen with all that? I mean, they haven't said they're not doing it at all. They just said they're suspending it.
Well, I made a point earlier on that Festus Keyamo was a member of the same Federal Executive Council that gave the necessary approvals, not just for Nigeria Air, but also for the launch of Nigeria Air, and also for the concessioning of the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport and also the Malam Aminu Kano International Airport. He served as a Minister of State, even if that's a title he does not like. He now has the title that he likes, under the Buhari administration, which was also an APC administration. Sure. And the point I would like to make here is about this certainty of policy, by Nigerian governments. What happens in the Nigerian space is that once one government leaves, another government comes in, or another administration comes in, it tries to undo everything that the previous administration did. And that's why there is the issue about investors. Because, investors are not always sure. They will say, oh, let us wait and see. So you find this kind of perpetual somersault over time, which will discourage investment. Which is why it is important that what, Festus Keyamo is trying to do is not just grandstanding, trying to grab the headlines. We hope that due diligence will go into the various things that he says he wants to review. And that to the extent that the various stakeholders are alive and still available within reach, that he will do his proper investigation and, consultation to make sure that it's not just hugging the headlines without necessarily making necessary preparations. I argued that rehabilitating the terminal, the main terminal of the Murtala Muhammed Airport, International Airport, is okay. But the problem is not just rehabilitation. It's maintaining after rehabilitation. Yes. Because every Minister of Aviation that comes along, will rehabilitate anyway. But it's a lack of maintenance culture. Those ACs will work for maybe 1 month after the rehabilitation and will go back to square one because nobody is paying enough attention. Those toilets will be clean for a few weeks. After that, they will become unusable. Now, the new terminal that he says is diverting, activities to, while the old terminal is being renovated, well, we hope that the movement to that one also will not place that one also in a position where it has to be rehabilitated. And the abandoned aircraft at the airport that he wants to clear, well, it probably makes sense. Because I find it curious that they will say a part of the aircraft, the international airport, is called the graveyard, which is a dumping ground for disused aircraft. Finally, there are other issues that he needs to worry about. Rufai referred to bilateral air service agreement. It's not about creating a new structure. The thing is that this thing is based on reciprocity. Virgin Atlantic, British Airways, they have regular frequency coming to Nigeria. There is no Nigerian airline that is using the Nigerian end of the bilateral air services agreement. We own aircraft here. We have local aircraft that can also fly to London. So is that frequency that airline operators of Nigeria are also asking for? AP says we have the capacity. So who is going to fight on behalf of APs to also be able to do like 3-4 flights to London so that it is not Virgin or British Airways monopolizing the route on both sides of it? Because there's nationalism also involved. So Festus Keyamo, being a senior advocate, can look at the legal aspects of it and see how he can make it, useful, both to Nigerians who are now having to pay close to 6 million, 4 million naira for a return ticket to London.
You have to be wealthy these days to take a flight, things that other people could enjoy, even if you were middle class. It almost seems as if the middle class doesn't exist any longer in today's Nigeria. Well, let's move on to another story. The Apapa community stakeholders are calling on the Federal Road Maintenance Agency to fix the deteriorating state of the Ijora-Syfax Road, which they say has become an accident spot, leading to loss of lives and properties on a daily basis. While confirming the massive volume of vehicular traffic and accident that ply the road Head of Operations, Lagos State Special Traffic Management Committee and Enforcement Team on Apapa Gridlock, Adekoya Hassan, says he's doing the little he can by constantly pouring gravel on the road, but it's not enough to fix it due to the amount of trucks and vehicles passing there always. He pleads with the federal government and the Federal Road Maintenance Agency to fix the road. All right, just to mention, Rufai, beyond this road in Apapa, across Lagos, and we just talked about the East-West Road earlier today in, along the Bayelsa, Port Harcourt area in Nigeria, we have a big issue with the state of our roads. And we look at the lives, productivity that we lose by not fixing these roads. What's the big problem?
I mean, the big problem is because we're not honest enough with ourselves. We're not transparent enough with ourselves. Everything that happens to us in this country, when they say Nigeria happens to you, Nigeria also happens to our roads. You hear cases of roads awarded and nothing is done, and people keep the money in the pocket. You hear contracts splitting, all sorts of variation. You know, the one that hurt me the most as regards the East-West Road is the fact that after the contract variation happened, which a lot of people say is a quick way to scam people during the contract and to make more money from the contract when you go back and vary the contract. Somebody will have thought that at least the money will be used to fix the road. Nothing is done. This Apapa is a major road. It's a major ingress and egress route through our ports. And the road has been like this for a while. A lot of things have been said about this Apapa road. Nothing has been done. It takes a private citizen to start pouring gravel on the road, at least to be able to. And kudos to the man that has been doing that. So the truth has to be said. We need to go back and look inwards. It's as if when it comes to the leadership, we just lost it at a point. Things didn't usually be this bad in Nigeria. Something definitely happened that we just lost it. We lost the level of accountability. Corruption became on the order of the day. It now became a government of strong men rather than strong institutions. So nothing can be done. And if you ask now, when are they going to fix this road? They're going to tell you all sorts of stories. Oh, they're caught up between federal road and state road. And they're also going to look at you in the face and tell you the rains have started. Yeah. We can't fix it after the rains.
The rains outside.
So you can see a lot that is happening while people keep suffering. And we say we are the giant of Africa. But I know we can't be the giant of Africa by doing well for ourselves.
Absolutely. We have a video to show you from the Apapa Road, and just in terms of some of the interventions, though temporary, that some citizens have done. Take a look.
My primary assignment is to ensure safety of property and lives. As you can see, we had to mobilize this within ourselves to ensure we put the road in order. But we need proper support from the federal government, especially Ministry of Works. As you can see, when we talk of property, millions of nairas go down here every day. As you can see what happened today, we never had intention of experiencing this. We just had plans to ensure we bring the palliative here to put the road in order. But on our way getting here, in less than 2-3 minutes, we find this now. So we had to quickly put it in order to ensure there is free flow of traffic along this corridor. But we'll continue to see what we can do to ensure we improve the quality of the road before federal government can come to our aid.
Federal government, state government, local government, governments responsible for roads. I thought it was quite poetic that one of the guys who was seen in that video, I don't know if you saw it, Doctor, was wearing a shirt and at the back had the face of the governor on it and he had rising on it. And there he was, not quite rising, bending to fix the road because the government hasn't done what it ought to do.
Well, you know the problem with this Apapa Road has been there for about 12 years, causing pain, tears, distress for residents, motorists, and anybody who has any business to transact in that part of Lagos State. And you will recall that the federal government at a point even set up a task force on that particular road. You will recall that at a point, even the Vice President of Nigeria, Professor Osinbajo, as he then was as Vice President, came and inspected this same road and made all kinds of promises about government fixing it. Governor Sanwo-Olu, when he assumed office, made this Apapa segment of the road, a priority for his administration. Now, many years after, we're still at the same point. The people who suffer are those residents, members of the community. In fact, at a point, when it was said it was because of transportation of goods from the port, a former MD of the Nigerian Ports Authority introduced what they call a tow app, a call-up system that will make sure that, you know, the congestion on the roads and bridges along that axis will be addressed. Nothing has happened. When the Minister of Works, I think, visited Lagos, we were told that he inspected the entire stretch of roads from Apapa all the way to the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, and he promised, I think he gave a deadline, I hope I'm not misquoting him, of maybe 6 weeks, or is it a few weeks or so, that the entire stretch will be fixed. This doesn't look like something that can be fixed in a matter of weeks. It just shows, you know, failure on the part of government. It shows negligence on the part of government. Every effort to fix these roads, either by community effort or by government effort, is always on an ad hoc basis. Maybe 2-3 heavy rains now. What is being put there now will be washed away again, and the agony of the people will continue. This is not acceptable. Government is there to serve the people. Government should just serve the people. Dealing with the same problem year in, year out, 12 years. This particular axis of Lagos has been in this particular state. And I think it's unacceptable. You know, the people there will continue to agonize until the problem is addressed and solved. Imagine the amount of man hours that is lost in traffic congestion. Imagine the amount of cost also in terms